Together is quite stressful, and for every one lesson you do 3 hours of homework. The hardest thing for me at the minute about corona and like lockdown. Hey everyone, it's Ellie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome back to my Vlogmas series. This is day 4 of Vlogmas and I hope you enjoy. Today I'm going to be doing a video which isn't necessarily Christmas related, but something I think you guys will really enjoy, and that is a Q&A about university. I've had a ton of questions that I want to answer about university, and a lot of you guys are, I'm sure, not at university yet and kind of deciding if you want to go to uni, and so this might be helpful for you guys to think about in the future, even if it's really far in the future or maybe it's in like a year or two. Either way, it might be helpful. So remember to subscribe if you're not already, give this video a great big thumbs up, and without any further ado, let's get into the Q&A. I asked these questions on Instagram. My Instagram is els.exo, so make sure you're following me so next time I do a Q&A you guys can ask questions as well. The first question is it stressful? And the answer is definitely yes. It's stressful for a lot of reasons, and I think mainly it's stressful because a lot of the things you do, it's gonna be like your first time doing things. So like it's your first time living by yourself, most likely, like living without your parents. Starting new classes is always stressful if you don't know many people in your class, which I didn't. Not many people did know many people. It definitely is stressful because it's a big change and it's very different to high school or college, or at least for me it was extremely different. All of it together is quite stressful, but I think you get used to it, and I think I'm starting to get used to it now. The second question is, how much work do you get and is it hard? So I think you get quite a lot of work, really, or so far I've had quite a lot of work. So on my course, I know I've got friends that are on my course but not in my class who have had literally barely any hours, like barely any work compared to what I've had, but then I think later in the year I'll have not much work and they'll have all the work that I've had to do now, if that makes sense. But in comparison to what I'm used to from college, then I think it is a lot of work. I think you have to kind of think like you're at university to do work. That is one of the reasons, hopefully, is one of the main reasons why you're at university. So you have to like put the time in order to get the results that you want to get. I think it's more time researching than what I'm used to from high school and college, but you have a lot of hours of research to do and like follow-up work, watching videos or reading books, articles, stuff like that. You have to do a lot of that kind of independent research, which is probably the harder part, I would say. The next question is, after moving to university, do you miss your parents and living at home? Yes, I definitely do. I think sometimes, like, obviously you want independence, and I really wanted to be independent when I came to uni. I was really excited, but then like I got here and I was like, oh, I miss my parents. I miss my parents, and I also really miss my friends from my like hometown, because they're all off at different unis as well, and it's like I miss everyone, and you kind of just miss home and like the feeling of family, if that makes sense. I guess you kind of form a new little family with your like roommates or people that you live with, but I do miss my family a lot, and I think anyone would. The next question is, are all of your lectures online because of COVID-19, and does that make them harder? I'm not really sure, to be honest, if it makes them harder, because I've not had any in-person lectures. I have in-person workshops, but not lectures. Lectures and workshops are kind of different. But my lectures so far have been online. I think it's difficult because in some cases I'm like, well, it's kind of the same as if we're in person. Like, yeah, but then also it's kind of harder to ask questions. Like, you can ask questions on the chat box, but it's kind of awkward. If you guys use Teams, and you know when your teacher puts you into like a breakout room, because I've not met the people on some of my lectures, then you go into the breakout rooms and no one wants to speak, and everyone's just like, or like turns their camera off and stuff, and obviously that wouldn't really happen in person, so I think that makes it harder, but maybe that's just us being awkward. What made you decide to choose to go to university over getting a full-time job? This is like an interesting question for me, because I think technically I could have done YouTube as a full-time job. Like, I could have stayed at home and done YouTube for a few years and like saved up money from doing YouTube and like TikTok and stuff, and then hopefully moved out in a couple of years into like a flat or wherever I wanted to live. But instead I did decide to go to university. And okay, that kind of sounds silly because a lot of people think YouTube is definitely not a full-time job, but trust me, it is so much work. Especially, I mean, right now I'm doing Vlogmas, so it doesn't really count because I'm probably doing like 4 or 5 hours every day of YouTube related work. But even when I'm not doing Vlogmas, like when I was working on my merch, I probably did like so many hours a week of like trying to organize things and work stuff out. It was like a lot of work and a lot of stress as well. Like I definitely understand how YouTubers do YouTube as a full-time job, and that is their full-time job. I'm busy enough with YouTube to have done that. And of course, if I didn't go to university and I did do YouTube as a full-time job, then I would probably make more videos than I do now, more content than I do now, rather than sticking with what I am doing. So for me, university was something I just wanted to do kind of more for myself. I didn't have to come to university because I have YouTube as a job. However, I thought it would be helpful to me. The course that I'm doing drama, but the drama course at my specific university is really, really broad. It's a really good subject because you learn about so many different things that kind of go into drama but also branch off in different directions. And I just felt like doing a course like this would help me be a lot more like of a well-rounded person. I think that helps you in so many aspects of life, and that's why I decided to go to university, really. I just wanted to help myself become more well-rounded. And I also, because I don't know if YouTube's gonna exist forever, like what if YouTube just goes like dead? I just want to have a big open variety of jobs that I can do when I'm older, which I think my degree like facilitates that. I also wanted the experience of meeting a lot of new people, joining societies and all of that, and I just feel like I'm not really an adult yet. I'm not like grown up enough to just be completely done with school and everything like that, so I really wanted to come to uni for that as well. The next question is university easier or harder than school? I would say personally, at this point in my uni life, it's harder. And I say that obviously the work is harder because you're getting like a higher qualification than your GCSEs or A-levels. So obviously the work is harder. But what I find harder is that it's so independent. You have to kind of use your own brain and go and get books or find articles and stuff like that. You have to do a lot of independent work. Like no one's gonna tell you, Ellie, you need to go to the library and look for books and then you can write your essay. Like you just kind of need to use your own initiative. And sometimes that's kind of hard because it's hard to time manage. Like when you're scheduling what you're gonna do in your day, you have to kind of plan more carefully. So I would say it is hard, but again, I'm still adjusting to the uni life, so maybe it'll get easier. Next question is, do you go to parties? And no, because COVID, parties are illegal at the minute, unless it's like a flat party, like with just your flat. Which I have had like parties with my flat, but just the people within my flat. But no, I don't go to parties. I would if Corona wasn't a thing. We're in lockdown, people, remember that. The next question is, do you have many friends who aren't in your flat? And honestly, not really. I think because of Corona and the COVID situation and lockdown, of course, I've not really had that much chance to get out and make that many friends. Even on my course, like my whole course was isolating for 2 weeks. I was isolating for like a week on top of that because when I actually had Corona, other people were isolating at different times. And yeah, basically it's just been kind of hard to make friends because everyone's been isolating. And also like societies haven't started properly yet. And obviously there's been like no events for us all to go to and make friends. So I've not made that many friends outside of my flat, but I do have like a couple, like the odd one here or there, you know. The next question is, how long are you at uni for? And I will be at uni for 3 years. So obviously I'm going home for Christmas every year, and I'll be home a lot within the 3 years, but also technically I'll be at uni for 3 years. The next question is, how many people are there in your flat? There's 10 people in my flat, so quite a big flat, I would say. The next question is it better or worse than secondary school? And that's a really hard question to answer because I don't really think you can compare them that much. Like I really loved secondary school. I had like a really good time in secondary school, so I think at the minute it's probably not quite as good as where secondary school was. However, maybe after, I mean hopefully after Corona passes and you know lockdown ends and all of that, then hopefully then it will be as good as secondary school or better. But I did have a really good time in secondary school, so it's kind of hard to compare. The next question is, how many hours a week do you have lessons? So this is kind of to do with like this scheduling and like, you know, like independent work that I've already mentioned. So there's kind of like a rule that for every 1 hour of an actual lesson you have, then you do 3 hours of independent work. So it's kind of like saying for every 1 lesson you do 3 hours of homework. I think that is what it is. So at the point in this term when my timetable was most busy, I had 9 hours of physical lesson, like physical as in a teacher teaching student online or in-person lessons a week. So like 9 hours. However, that's not just 9 hours for the whole week, because for each of those 1 hours we're expected to do about 3 hours extra. So that would be like 36 hours in a week, and obviously that is an absolute ton, and that is kind of like the most they expect you to do, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think anyone really does more than that, but people definitely do less. And the final question is, what is the hardest thing about uni? I think the hardest thing for me at the minute is kind of like about corona and like lockdown, because moving to uni, obviously everyone wants to make friends, but because of lockdown it's been really hard to make friends, and that's just sad really. More than anything, it's sad. And I think moving to university is kind of lonely anyway, because you're with new people that you don't know that well, but because we're not allowed to go out and make more friends, then you do get a little bit lonely sometimes. Like, I've got some really good friends, especially in my flat, but like you still kind of get lonely. It's kind of sad really. And like just time management and stuff like that. But I feel like I made it sound really negative. I am having a really good time at uni, and I've made some amazing friends, and I'm really enjoying my course. My course, when I first started, I thought was so hard, but now I think it's really fun. I'm starting to like get more comfortable with it, I think. But yeah guys, that was my university Q&A. I hope you guys enjoyed, and make sure to give this video a great big thumbs up if you've not already, to let me know you enjoyed it. And of course, subscribe with the big red subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, to help me reach my subscriber goal of 500,000 subscribers. If you want to stay up to date with what I'm doing, then you can follow me on all of my social media accounts, which are linked in the description box below. Be sure to shop my merch. The merch website is ellielouiseshop.com, and the link will be in the description for that as well. And I think the only thing left to say is I love you a lotty, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys!